ladies, T-Birds, just happen to be watchers of my shit. My name is JImmiPynk, and I apologize, but to all of my LBGTQIA followers, happy Pride Month, and I could not be happier to bring it in with this. I'll be honest, because of my own personal issues, I completely forgot. I was prepared. I had the screenshot and everything ready to go, and I completely forgot to post. Came on yesterday, and shout outs to James Caldwell, because had he not put his review up, I would have neglected it altogether. And I got about 3 minutes into his review and said, oh my God, I have time. Let me watch it. Let me try to jump into the review. Let me try to jump into a geesh real quick. I don't even have on contacts underneath these glasses, so I took notes. But there's no point in trying to read them because we'd spend more time with my face into the notebook. But one thing I have to say before I get into the show. I know that I'm very LGBTQ friendly. I know that some of you guys don't watch everything. You don't watch my lives. You don't know my family history of the people in my family that are LGBTQ that I didn't have relationships with, or didn't have the relationship I could have had with because they felt like they had to run away. And I identify so much with the LGBTQ community because I am an outcast and I'm different, and I had to learn to live my own truth and be who I am. But I can never understand the struggle that you go through. I can never understand it, but what I can say is even through watching all of the queer cinema that I watch and all of the queer television shows that I watch, and listening to your stories when you give them to me, I can never understand. What I can say is I feel like this show is a step in the right direction. I could be wrong because I'm not a part of the community. I'm an advocate of the community. I'm a friend of the community. But I'm not part of the community. This was a lot to take in. I will tell you that. It's a lot to take in. It's set in the 80s, so there are a lot of subjects that I may have been too young to understand. Of course, the ballroom culture. Of course, I came into Paris is Burning later in life. Of course, I know of the AIDS epidemic, but of course, I myself, in my own area of living and neighborhood, even as a younger child, have heard it be called the gay plague and things like that. The fact that they are advertising all over me just watching it with Bohemian Rhapsody is not an accident. But Jesus, this show, I feel like, and I could be wrong, I don't want to overstep. Because again, as much of an advocate as I am for the LBGT community, I don't want to overstep because I am not a part of it and I will never understand. I can say this is what I went through in my life and it will never be the same. I've never been kicked out of my house for who I am. I have never been denied a job because of who I am. I'm okay, possibly because I'm a black female. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's different. And I'm fully aware of that, and I want you guys to understand that I'm fully aware of that. But I feel like, to me, just based on the knowledge that I have and the family members that I do have that are LGBTQ, and the friends that I have that are LGBTQ, or the people that I've just been friends with or acquaintances with along the way, This to me does for the LGBTQ community what 13 Reasons Why is trying to do for teen mental health, but succeeding in it in one episode far beyond what they've ever done in their 2 seasons. There's a difference between gratuitous violence and things that are hard to watch because you need to see. When Damon's son, as small of a part of the film that it was, a small part of that it was, of his mother saying he's just creative and dismissing it as that and saying, I'll let you do that even though your father is like, no, you just gonna be gay regardless. Kind of what I equate with, and I'm sorry I'm going to get a little bit personal with this, kind of what I equate with because my father is the only straight one out of his brothers and sister. With me being tomboyish and wanting wrestling and G.I. Joe and Transformers. And later on in life when the Transformers movie came and I worked on Hot Topic and we were getting all this Transformers stuff in and I was coming home with Transformers shit all the time. And my mom saying we were trying to make sure that you weren't going to be gay. Because I liked too much boy stuff. I still probably like too much boy stuff. But you know what I like more than too much boy stuff? Too much boys. That had no effect on it. So that resonated with me when your mother let you do all of this because I knew you was going to be a sissy. Because he likes to dance. Bob Fosse might be one of the most recognized dancers and choreographers of all time, and he was straight. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, always correct me if I'm wrong, respectfully. As far as I know, Ben Vereen. As far as I know, Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson was more asexual than anything. Hell, and for that matter, as much of a disgusting ass human being as he is, Chris Brown, Usher, Mikhail Baryshnikov. So you wanting to do something that's more associated with the opposite sex doesn't mean that that's going to make you gay. So I resonated with that. But to see his father just beat him with a belt at 17 years old like he was a slave and throw him out the house and his mother comes and tries to protect him and then as soon as she sees the porn magazine, turns her back on him too and says, I tried to let you be creative, but I didn't know you was going to be gay and bringing filth into our house. And if you go to church and repent, let me tell you something. You can only repent for something you're sorry for. You can't repent for who you are as a person. That's just real. Guess what? You could be a murderer. You could be a pedophile and repent for something you did. But if that's just who you are and your mind is that fucked up, and I'm not saying that queer people are fucked up. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you can't repent for who you are. You can repent for what you've done that you feel is wrong. But if you feel like what you're doing is right, that's why we got suicide bombers for Islam. They think they right. Ain't nothing to repent for. Because they believe what they doing is right. I know I'm equating gay with some really negative shit. But at the same time, I can't repent for being vain because I sit here and talk on YouTube when I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong because I'm actually trying to speak to people and communicate with people that may need to hear what I have to say. You might call that vanity. You might call that self-importance. I call that, if I help one person, I did what I was supposed to do. You don't see people that have multiple wives like, what's them fuckers called? You know, like I know it's not the Church of Latter-day Saints, but there's a sect of Mormons that believe in multiple marriage. What are they repenting for if they believe that's who they are, if that's what they do and that's what they know? And you can even repent for that. But you can't change who you are. That's like me going to church and saying, oh, dear white, blonde hair, blue-eyed, 6 pound, 8 ounce baby Jesus, please forgive me for being black. I didn't have nothing to do with that. I didn't choose this. This is who I am. I don't feel like it's anything different for somebody queer. Now, I just said a whole lot of shit that sounded real convoluted and fucked up. But I meant it honestly. I can't repent for something that I just am. That I said it fucked up. Let me clarify. I'm not even going to edit this. I'm probably not even going to do the shit because it's late. But I really wanted to review this show. And once I watched it, I really had a lot to say. You can't repent for who you are. I can repent for what I did, but I can't repent for who I am. That's who I am. And if you want to believe the religious zealots, I was born this way. And I do the best way to equate that. And I apologize. Let me equate that a little bit better. I can't repent for being black no more than somebody can repent for being gay. I was born this way. I didn't ask to be this way. It's just who I am. With that being said, Ryan Murphy, you did a great job. You did a fantastic job. First of all, Ryan Murphy is always on point with the music. Always. It was great. It was fantastic. I like the dynamic between Blanca and Angel and Damon. And I'm sure we're going to get more Little Poppy next episode. And I'm sorry I did not catch his name. The guy that was like the father of everybody because he did the balls and now he's the announcer. I like the way it was done. I love everything about this. The way the show opens with the importance of it's not equal, but there's some representation now for everybody. There's representation for everybody now. A little bit goes a long way because we never had it. As black females, as queer people, as even Hispanics, transgender, let's say queer people, I consider them to be queer too. We get a little bit, we want it to be a little bit more even. Don't force it down our throat if it don't have to be there. But in this, to actually cast transgender and queer people in roles of transgender and queer people, thank you. Thank you for not giving these roles to a bunch of goddamn straight people. I appreciate that. Thank you for not giving these roles to a whole bunch of white people. I appreciate that too. It's a story about black and brown queer people. Why not let black and brown queer people play it? And I'm here for that. Thank you, Ryan Murphy. One thing I will say about it is that I did not care for. I could pass on this. Oh, I'm a yuppie trying to live this normal life and I got kids and a wife, yada, 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 but I'm going to go get me a black, Hispanic, transsexual prostitute. And when I'm making millions of dollars working for Trump, but I feel sorry for you. Fuck that noise. Oh, why? Because he's in his own prison. I get it. You want to show both sides. But to me, it wasn't necessary. To me, I would rather hear the story of these black and brown people that were thrown away to build their own families. I would rather see that. I understand, Ryan Murphy, you needed a part. But Evan Peters, James Vanderbeek, it's always good to see you. I love Don't Trust to Be in Apartment 23. Loved it. Wish it would have lasted longer. But I could have did without that part of the story. I could give a fuck about them. And maybe you have to do that to get the show, because you can't just have black and brown queer people on TV and that just roll. And I still feel like FX did not promote this show as much as they did other Ryan Murphy shows. Even as much as other queer Ryan Murphy shows. Did we forget American Horror Story? American Crime Story just went off? And he likes to work with the same actors, so in order for him to work with some of these same actors like Evan Peters, you don't want to put this straight person in this role when you're really telling the story of the ball culture and the poor black and brown people that were thrown away. And I get that, because you can't cast him as any of that. But I don't care about his story. I don't. And the fact that you made him work for Trump, must we give this motherfucking Syracuse orange man any more motherfucking screen time than is fucking necessary, any more fucking attention? There ain't no other real estate mogul that he could have worked for. He couldn't have worked for the Koch brothers. He couldn't have just worked on Wall Street. He had to work for Trump. And I'm sure because it's Ryan Murphy, because Ryan Murphy always has a statement. And I'm sure there's a statement to be said 1 episode down and 7 more to go. But I'm not sure if I needed it, because I'm really more interested in this Paris is Burning more story about these minority queer people that were thrown away and how they created this whole underground to create their own families and acceptance and their own stardom where they couldn't be a star anywhere else. I'm more interested in that. I can give a fuck about James Van Der Beek, Evan Peters, or the fact that they work for Trump. Maybe as the show rolls on and I continue to review it, that'll come into play. And always good to see Kate Mara too. I loved you in House of Cards. I'm glad to see you do something else, especially since Fantastic Four was such a fucking dumpster fire. I'm glad to see you in something else because you're a really great actress. And I'm sure they're supposed to show some kind of parallel because they don't really belong. Because when they were in the fancy restaurant, I've never had lobster. Should I have on a lobster bib? Like you're kind of like white trash. But now you're somewhere where you don't belong either. And this man is trying to be something that he's not. But I don't fucking care. Not in this context of the story, I don't. As of yet, in Ryan Murphy, maybe you can make me care. But sometimes Ryan Murphy does too much. Sometimes. Circa Glee about season 4, whatever the season was, where they were between New York and Ohio half the time. Sometimes shit runs away from Ryan Murphy. And I hope this storyline that actually, honestly, even on episode 1 seems forced into the narrative, has a payoff. But I'm just telling y'all right now, I don't believe it does. Oh, what's going to happen? We're supposed to feel bad for Evan Peters because Evan Peters has AIDS and give it to his wife or some bullshit like that. I don't care. That's not the story I want to hear, and I don't really care about the other side. I'm just going to be honest. We've had enough stories about rich white people. This ain't their story, and to introduce that, I'm cool. Of course, I do feel like, because I have seen Paris is Burning, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I believe it's still on Netflix, and you need to watch it even before you watch episode. So if you already watched episode 1 of Pose, you need to make it a note to yourself to watch. And James Caldwell said that as well, and Jimmy and James Caldwell have talked about this in lives before. You need to watch Paris is Burning, and I wish, if this is inspiring you to watch Pose, to go see Paris is Burning first, because that is a documentary. These are real kids that we're going through with the characters on this show is going now. But Ryan Murphy is so slick and so clever that I find it hard to believe that you have this character of Angel Evangelista that is not some kind of way a parallel to Angel Extravaganza, who was also a ball walker and a legendary child and transsexual and a prostitute and ended up murdered. And it's in the documentary. Spoiler alert to the documentary, but you still need to watch it even though I told you that. Who her house mother did have to go because she didn't have no other family because her parents disowned her, that did have to go and identify her body, and John killed her. So the only thing I can think of is that that's a parallel, especially because the storyline, the name of Angel, and the storyline of her being the prostitute and meeting somebody that's eventually going to start taking care of her because they have money. I can't see that's not going to be a parallel, so I guess that's a prediction that she doesn't make it through the series. That Evan Peters is going to kill her. I hope I'm wrong, but that parallel is too strong. And I understand what Ryan Murphy is trying to do is introduce this to a new generation of people who have not seen Paris is Burning. And you're already borrowing so heavily from Paris is Burning just because of the subject matter. The fact that her name is Angel is too much of a parallel for me, that I don't feel like, why did you even introduce this dumbass rich yuppie white boy that is married and got kids but just doing this on the side unless there's some kind of tragedy to it, because otherwise there's no reason for this story to be here. Except for to give James Van Der Beek a job and of course to work with Evan Peters again. So I say that to say this. If you watched it and you reviewed it, and I'm pretty sure I probably didn't even touch on a lot of this stuff. I didn't touch on how Blanca forced Damon to get into that dance school and supported him in a way that his mother didn't so easily already into the show. And how the mother of abundance was stealing, Ryan Murphy is quick firing a lot of stuff. And again, this is a limited series. This is only 8 episodes. So we got to move the shit quick. And I'm sure I didn't talk about a lot of stuff. But with it being Pride Month, I felt like there were more important things in the story I needed to talk about than the actual story, just conversations that it brought up. So I say that to say this. I really enjoyed the first episode. It was very eye-opening to me that there are just things that I cannot understand. And we need to understand that as Americans, that everybody does have different backgrounds, and every little sect that we have, LGBTQ, black, and that's the thing too that I do love about the show, and that's why another reason why I don't care for this Evan Peters storyline. As somebody that, for lack of a better word, grew up black. My kid, when you have that exceptionally smart child or that exceptionally talented child, let them try to get them as far away from the black schools as possible, because the black schools are not going to nurture my child. All of that, but still growing up in that community. To be black or brown and queer during the AIDS epidemic especially, but even now, that's why you have, and I tell y'all that all the time, I'm a fan of hip-hop. And there are songs that I still go back and listen to that are classics, that are so homophobic, that I can dismiss and love as music, because that is just what we did then. that was so disrespectful in the black community to call somebody, excuse my language, a faggot or a homo or gay or a fairy when they weren't is so much more disrespectful than anything else. And it's systematic because as a black man, not so much for the women, but as a black man, because there's always been so much on a black man's back, and I've talked about this before with the R. Kelly thing, the Bill Cosby of don't throw your black men under the bus because they already think they violent and deviant and sexual. And for them to be gay on top of that, or gay, for them to not even be a man, to feel like they a woman, the ultimate disrespect to your father, the ultimate disrespect to your family, the ultimate disrespect to your forefathers who fought so hard to get out of slavery, to do this and this and this, for you not to even be a man. And that's how it's looked at. And that's why this show is so important. So with that being said, again, I want to say to my LGBTQIA followers, because I know that is the majority of you, I do want to say happy Pride. Be proud of who you are. And just like Black History Month ain't only in February, Pride Month ain't only in June. Celebrate who you are every day, all day, and at all times. And sometimes it's hard for me to say because I don't love myself all the time or as much as I should. But we should all love who we are. You can't change who you are, so you might as well learn how to live with it. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so very much. And of course, I keep telling y'all I need y'all now more than ever. Y'all don't even understand. Also, thank you to those of you who donate to my PayPal. Because you can't do it monthly, but you might want to give me a one-time throw out. I appreciate y'all too, because I need y'all too. To my pink ladies and T-birds, I don't have a channel without y'all. Like, subscribe, share my shit. Tell y'all friends. I got to get to 5,000 is the next goal. And if you're not a pink lady or T-bird, that just means you're not a member of the House of Grease, and you become one very easily by subscribing to my channel. I would tell y'all click to the end of this video, but I don't know if I'm doing that much editing. So, just throw it down below. I might be tripping over my words a little bit because I've had some wine and I'm very tired and it's way past my bedtime and I got to work tomorrow. But down below, also click the notification bell so you can see when I review polls. It's probably not always going to be on time because I work Sunday for the next 2 weeks, as well as Claws, which is coming up, as well as RuPaul's Drag Race, which I'm continuing to review, as well as everything else that I review because there is a bunch. And coming up, Jimmy does Youngstown Comic Con, and Jimmy does GymCon, Click Clash in Cleveland. So there's lots of new content and some different type of content that's coming. So get on board. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't see shit. So I hope there ain't nothing in the way of this goddamn video. I gotta try to find my glasses now. Keep it crazy. Kisses. Kamehameha attackers blazing, I'm so amazing. Japanimation, the anime on your cartoon station. So fulfilling, no adults swimming for about an hour. Revealing power, unorthodox amongst these cowards. Full transformation for Optimus Prime transformation. A good vibration from